Tonight for the Marlins has made 4 appearances in his career against the Padres with 1 start, which also happened to be his last appearance against San Diego. That was July 4th of 2007, a day that was a fateful one in JJ's major league career. As he began the 2007 season, Josh was experiencing elbow discomfort. After time on the disabled list, he returned, but after just 4 starts on July 4th in San Diego, Johnson left the mound and underwent an elbow ligament replacement procedure, better known as Tommy John surgery.
That was very concerning. As a parent, I was more concerned with his psychological condition and how he was dealing with that than I was the physical injury, because I figured he will treat the surgery like any other mechanical event in sports where he studies it, analyzes it, understands it, and works his tail off to work it, and that's what he did.
They took the tendon right here, I think it's the phalanx tendon or something like that, from here in my wrist, and then put it in my elbow. They just like double knot it. They drill holes in bones and then double tie it through there.
Just how long the process is. I mean, it's a long process. It went by pretty fast now when you look back on it, but at the time it was just the same thing every single day. It was like Groundhog Day. It's a very light day. Through yesterday, so it's going to be light.
Doubt plays a part. We wanted to know, Josh, can we come down here? Should we fly down with you and be with you? Nope, nope, I got it under control. Everything's okay. He didn't want us to be there. And yes, we were worried about it. But there's a part of me that just had to say, I have faith.
It changes perspective a little bit is what I saw. You saw that he was definitely more grateful to be in the situation that he was and didn't take it for granted. I definitely noticed that about him.
There were a lot of times we had to look at the bright side and ended up seeing that it was like a blessing in disguise because we had a baby and he had all that time to spend with us.
It was always positive thinking, and my wife was definitely a big part of that.
Josh's wife Heidi helping him through that, and of course since Josh's return he is 23-7. That's the second best winning percentage among all major league pitchers since the All-Star break of 2008, which is about the time when Josh returned to the Florida Marlins. He'll be back on the mound tonight against those San Diego Padres. The Fish and the Friars, game 1 of a 3-game set here at Sun Life Stadium. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, they'll have all the action. It's coming your way next right here on Fox Sports Florida as the Padres take on the Marlins.
Little place. Big Taste by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 800-947-AUTO. And by Toyota. Moving forward. Sun Life Stadium, the Marlins are home for a week and a half with a 3-team tour coming in, starting with the surprise team, maybe in all of baseball, the San Diego Padres. Their 8-game win streak snapped yesterday in Cincinnati. Everett Cabrera leads it off at shortstop. David Eckstein is at second. Adrian Gonzalez, one of the best players in all of baseball. And Chase Headley has done a nice job as well at third base. Will Venable, a good season in right field. Kyle Blanks adds pop in left. Nick Hundley, very solid behind the plate. Tony Gwynn Jr. is in center. Matt Latos out of Coconut Creek High School. He is going to hit ninth.
Yeah, Rich, it's an interesting lineup that Josh Johnson will be dealing with. A lot of names you might not be familiar with, but some pesky hitters, some guys who've been driving in runs. And JJ gets ready for his 5th outing of the year. He hasn't pitched a whole lot against San Diego, just one career start. He's been in 3 games, 7 innings, but he's only allowed 5 hits and no runs in those appearances against the San Diego Padres. So not a whole lot of history with their hitters against JJ. Coughlin, Maven, and Cody Ross in the Marlins outfield in this one. Cantu and Hanley on the left side, Uggs and Sanchez, and behind the plate is John Baker ready to call some good ones for Josh Johnson.
Against a very hot team, the Padres at 11-7, and Cabrera, the switch-hitting shortstop, takes his stride.
One of the things that was preached to Josh in between starts, attack, attack, attack. And just what he did to Cabrera there. Attacked with good 2-seamers and got a ground ball out.
Uggla throws out Cabrera. That'll bring up Eckstein. These Padres, last year in a rebuilding mode, they were 75-87. But Bud Black's team in the last 62 games went 37-25. That was the 3rd best mark in the National League. And so those that looked at those numbers said, you know, this might be a team that takes the next step this year. And in 3 weeks in, they have taken that step. Eckstein, one of the reasons why. And the former Gator takes a strike.
One of the few veterans in that lineup. He certainly helps the young shortstop, Cabrera.
That's one of the reasons they signed him. Cabrera, a Rule 5 shortstop when they signed him last year. They wanted a veteran second baseman. They got it with Eckstein. And
attack, attack.
For only the 2nd time this year, Eckstein, one of the toughest men to strike out in the game, punches out.
All strikes. Josh Johnson, in throwing 5 pitches, has thrown 5 strikes. He went right after a guy who's probably the toughest guy to strike out in the league.
Yes, absolutely. All right, here is Adrian Gonzalez. He's on a tear right now. He's homered in 4 consecutive games. You see the 6 homers. 5 of the 6 homers have been away from San Diego. Petco Park, one of the great pitching parks, and a very difficult park to hit home runs. And its deepest parts in right and left center field, and the ball doesn't carry well there as well.
You think of all of the things offensively that he's accomplished. You throw in the tough ballpark. You throw in not being surrounded by a lot of real professional hitters, veteran guys.
Johnson misses outside, and it's 3-0. And still he puts up big numbers. You see, against righties, he has hit all 6 of his homers, hit 40 last year, drove in 99 runs, was pitched around. He led all of baseball with 119 walks.
He had a stretch of 8 consecutive games last year where he was walked 2 times or more in each of those games.
And he bangs one into right field. Cody Ross didn't move much, makes the catch, fires a souvenir into the seats. 3 up, 3 down for JJ. Chris Coughlin is in left. Hanley Ramirez at shortstop. Jorge Cantu's at third base. Dan Uggla at second. John Baker, the catcher. Cody Ross in right. Gabby Sanchez, 7 doubles, leading the Marlins. And JJ in the 9 spot.
Well, we'll see if a few of the Marlins can get back on track here for this homestand. They're going to have a tough matchup against this big 6'6" right-hander, Matt Latos. Ball jumps out of his hand. He has good stuff.
And his first pitch fastball is a strike. Chris Guccione is calling balls and strikes behind home plate. There is Maben out of the lineup after that 2-car pileup on first base at Coors Field with Gabby Sanchez. Maben said, next time I see Gabby Sanchez running at me full speed, I'm getting out of the way, or I'm getting a football helmet. But the cobwebs have cleared. Gabby was none worse for the wear. And Maben behind in the count 0-2 against a guy that can strike you out. He's got that type of stuff. And Latos flips one up there.
He had an interesting Latos start against the Marlins last year. His only appearance against the Fish. First 3 innings, he retired 9 batters. So he got off to a great start. But the Marlins end up getting 4 earned runs off of him the next inning.
He rocketed through the Padres organization. In his second full season, he was in the big leagues, and that was last year. He made those 10 starts, including the start against the Marlins you talked about. He was scouted and signed by Joe Bochy, Bruce Bochy's brother, the former Padres skipper, current Giants manager. And I'm sure there were a few phone calls last week when Latos beat the Giants by a score of 1-0 in a game in which the Padres had just 1 hit.
Yeah, how about that game?
But Latos was outstanding. 7 shutout innings. Beat Jonathan Sanchez. Fastball, 98. That would be heat.
Yeah, fastball up in that area against Latos can be very hard to catch up with. That ball just takes off when it gets above the belt. You mentioned it, 98 miles an hour. We talked a little bit about Latos. Premium power arm, no question about it. Clean and fluid delivery, so he's not herky-jerky, and he has a fastball with life.
Chris Coughlin now. Coughlin showing signs of life at the plate. 3 hits his last 2 games. And the count's 1-0. And who knows, maybe the start against the left-hander will be the thing that brings Coughlin out of his shell. We talked about that in Denver. Coughlin getting a start on Sunday against Jorge De La Rosa. He was 1 for 4 with an RBI.
Well, we saw Latos go up high with the fastball to get Maben. That's a pitch that's given Chris trouble, especially with 2 strikes. Now with 2 strikes, we'll see if Latos goes back up there. It's a borderline pitch that Cogs has had trouble staying away from.
What is a fastball, a 97, 98 mile an hour fastball without life like?
If it's 97, 98, it has life.
Here's the 1-2. Almost hit him, and the count's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Latos, part of a Padre rotation that has been brilliant so far this year. A 2.86 ERA. A little baseball-themed tattoo as well. Cogs taps it out in front of the mound. Latos picks it up. And he's made quick work of the first 2 hitters.
All right, we're going to fill you in on the defense for the Padres tonight. Blanks, big guy in left field. Gwynn Jr., Will Venable. Chase Hetley off to a terrific start. Cabrera and Eckstein up the middle. Adrian Gonzalez with 2 gold gloves, and Nick Hundley behind the plate.
Here's Hanley now. You can see Hanley's numbers, and one of the questions this weekend from a few reporters to Hanley was, what's up with the power outage? And Hanley said, don't worry about me. I'll be all right. Just worry about the rest of the team. We talked about it in Denver.
Yeah, Hanley's lone home run this year, the second game of the season. That opposite field shot at Citi Field in New York.
Breaking ball misses outside. Our Geico quote of the night from Hanley. It's not September or August. I'm not worried about that. Some guys are going to be cold. Some guys are going to be hot. That on his lack of driving in runs and hitting home runs.
And I think right now the Marlins need for Hanley to get hot.
And I think as well in the first week of the season, just about everybody avoided really pitching aggressively to Hanley and ended up paying for it with Jorge Cantu driving in a run in every game. Hanley drives that ball to right field, hits it deep. Back goes Venable. Gone. Don't worry about me. I'll be okay. 1-0 Fish.
How about his 2 home runs this year have been to the opposite field? And I think we told you last year he hit just 1 to the opposite field. So don't worry, Hanley's back. Number 2 on the year, and that ball traveled.
That's big boy territory for a right-handed hitter.
Fastball out over the plate, and look at that great extension on the part of Hanley Ramirez. That was a 97-mile-an-hour heater with life.
Late life.
It had late life in the right field seats.
That's what I mean. Late life. So we know Latos can throw hard. As Tommy pointed out, he had that brilliant start of the ball game against the Marlins where he set down the first 9 and then really fell apart in last August, late August. Cantu digs in with his 20 RBIs. First time I think we've seen the straight change.
There used to be a time, Rich, that you had big stud pitchers out there who were going to go 9 innings, that you'd have Hanley hit that home run and he'd go over to Josh Johnson and go by him and say, all right, big boy, there's your 1 run.
JJ worked a 1-2-3 first. Glad you're with us tonight. If you're just tuning in, just getting back from work, sitting down to dinner, Marlins and Padres. Marlins a game over. The Padres 4 over. And I think by far the surprise team in the National League.
We've talked, you mentioned, Rich, the pitching, the way they've played. During their 8-game winning streak, they had 3 shutouts.
They did not win any of their first 3 series. That shows you what an 8-game win streak will do for you. They lost 2 of 3 in Arizona, 2 of 3 in Colorado, and 2 of 3 to Atlanta. But then Bud Black's ball club went on a tear, swept Arizona, swept the Giants, and took 2 from Cincinnati. He went, ball trickles away, and Hundley throws him out. But Hanley Ramirez goes opposite field and gives Josh Johnson a 1-0 lead. You'll get Marlins baseball and Espanol. All right, Josh Johnson. There we go. Second inning. JJ delivers. And the count's 0-1.
Hanley has presented him with a 1-0 lead.
Chase Headley takes strike 2.
Change up.
Headley, Will Venable, and Kyle Blanks. Headley has been one of the reasons why the Padres are off to a good start. His name certainly hidden from the headlines with Adrian Gonzalez on his home run tear. But Headley, a switch-hitting third baseman, with a .421 on-base percentage and a .371 batting average, a homer and 7 RBIs. Johnson elevates and gets his second strikeout.
You know he has good stuff. You saw the elevation of that fastball, 95 miles an hour. The pitch before, a 90-mile-an-hour slider. When he gets that slider in that area, he's extremely tough, and he gets Headley to go after this. That's a tough pitch to lay off of when you have 2 strikes.
Here is Will Venable. And if you saw Marlins Live, Tommy and I talked about the many players here with the Padres whose fathers were big leaguers. And Will's father, Max, was a versatile player for 12 years in the big leagues and is now in the Padres system as their Double-A hitting coach.
You probably saw Max Venable as a Giant when he was with the Giants.
I did. And I also saw Will Venable as a Tiger, a Princeton Tiger.
Yeah, it's interesting what Rich was talking about. You don't see many clubs that have as many sons of former major leaguers. You have Tony Gwynn Jr., Will Venable, and the Harristons, Scott and Jerry. Of course, Jerry Hairston Sr., a good major league player, and their grandfather, Sam Hairston, back in 1951 with the White Sox.
He was the first African-American player with the White Sox. Played a long time in the Negro Leagues and finally got a chance to play in the big leagues. 1-2. Wow, just pumping strikes right now. 2 outs. Fiesta Friday, the 30th. End of this week, 7:10 start. The Nationals are here, and it's Bark at the Park night. So bring your dogs to the game, and fans can play Billy Bingo for a chance to win a Marlins military cap courtesy of Geico. 1-877-MARLINS, or visit marlins.com.
Josh Johnson is focused. He's taken the advice of his skipper, attack with good hard stuff, and he's done that.
He is facing big Kyle Blanks.
Hey, by the way, one other note, the Padres also in their minor league system, I think it's his 2nd or 3rd year, have Lenny Dykstra's son who's coming up in their system.
That's a fastball that either was in or up, but when you're 6'6", 270, you should have a pretty big strike zone. And Blanks walks. Nick Hundley, the catcher for the Padres, coming up. This Padre team is a little bit reminiscent of the Marlins back 07, 08, where you've got guys that are just getting their 2nd year, 3rd year in the big leagues.
And with other organizations, as we've seen with the Marlins, those guys kind of come up and down. They don't really get that opportunity to get a lot of reps and play a lot at the big league level.
Nick Hundley is out of Redmond, Washington. Was a star at the University of Arizona. His father didn't play in the major leagues, but his father is a high-level college football assistant coach who's been a lot of places and is now on Rick Neuheisel's staff at UCLA.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and it's interesting with all these sons of former major leaguers, think that maybe his dad was Randy Hundley, but no relation at all, but a good football coach is his dad.
That would have made him a brother of Todd Hundley, right?
Yeah, yeah.
His dad, Tim, has been a defensive coordinator in a variety of spots, mainly in the Pac-10. Redmond is a suburb of Seattle, and his father was at the University of Washington.
You have to keep the Padre runners close. They're tied with the Nationals for first in the league with 20 stolen bases. They're a young club, but they run when they get on the bases.
Breaking ball, and Hundley swings through it.
He's got that slider in the upper 80s, one touch 90 earlier. Watch this ball, have some bite to it. Can hardly see the rotation.
Got him. Josh Johnson is punched out for Padres. And the Marlins lead this one 1-0.
Right now I've got a story about Brian Sanchez coming off the DL and the I guess the rehab that he's had to go through, and it also talks about Dan Meyer actually going on the DL with a left calf strain.
And we've seen Hanley Ramirez hit a home run here tonight. He's been off to a bit of a slow start by Hanley standards. Any reason to worry about him?
Well, I don't think there's any reason to worry, Frank. I mean, it is his first extra base hit since April 16th and the first time he's homered since the second game of the season. But we've seen over the past few years how talented Hanley is. He's going to be fine.
If you weren't with us in Marlins Live pregame, Mike Stanton red hot right now. 2 homers, 4 for 4 on Sunday. 3 home runs, drove in 7 today in an afternoon game for the Jacksonville Suns. In your opinion, will we see Mike Stanton at the big league level before this season is over?
I think he's making a great case to come up. The organization always talked about how a player will let you know when they're ready to come up, and Stanton is making a pretty good case to come up.
All right, David V., thanks a lot for the time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Frank.
David Villavicencio, our Marlins writer for FoxSportsFlorida.com. Log on, go in the dugout with David V. Guys, back to you.
Dan Uggla taking a fastball that's high, and it's 2-0 from Matt Latos. Uggla had a very nice road trip, upping his average at 324, adding to his home run total by 3, 4 homers, 11 RBIs.
I think Mike Stanton's starting to get a hold of this double-A thing with the last 2 games that the big power hitters had. 5 home runs last 2 games.
.3-0 to Uggla. And it's a letter-high strike. Uggla hit some home runs against some pretty good pitchers on that road trip. He touched Roy Halladay and Cole Hamels in Philadelphia. That one just catching the corner.
Yeah, Dan Uggla, one of the few that had a nice trip offensively, 11 hits at 355 with those 3 home runs.
And he went after the 3-2 fastball. And Latos, who fell behind in the count 3-0, came roaring back.
Well, here comes that high fastball again. Once again, tough to lay off. It's going to be tough to lay off for the Padres hitters with Josh Johnson throwing it. And here it is. Maybe a little out of the strike zone. There it is, but a tough one to stay off of with 2 strikes. Remember, you have to get that bat ready to go in a hurry.
John Baker now. Bake getting the start against the right-hander. Ronnie Paulino back among the healthy, and so he and Baker have been back to their righty-lefty platoon.
And the Marlins will see all right-handers in this series.
Yeah, but wait, the lefties are coming.
Lefties are coming. The last 2 games of that Nationals series over the weekend, Scott Olsen and John Lannon, last 2 games.
Broke his bat, loops it into left center, and finds himself a base hit.
Oh, a thing of beauty. Check swing, broken bat, and you get yourself a nod. I think the Marlins will see Barry Zito in that San Francisco series, too. He wants to lay off of it, about a half swing, totally shatters the bat, and gets himself the base hit.
Much better result than that swing. 1-0. Marlins on top with Bacon first. And here is Cody. So let's see if our suspicions ring true in this series. Cody had a miserable road trip until yesterday. And then all of a sudden yesterday, he barreled some balls up. Ross yesterday had a double, was 2 for 4. Ball and a strike.
And I think as long as you and I have seen Cody Ross, that's the kind of hitter he's been. He gets himself in little streaks, and when he's on one of those hot streaks, we know he can put together a lot of base hits and do a lot of damage. See if he gets himself geared up and gets a fastball on this 2-1 pitch.
Hanley's been about the only guy who's been able to gear up for the fastball and hit it. He's thrown it by Maben. He's thrown it by Cantu. Threw it by Uggla.
He didn't get it. He got the curveball. Here's a guy who last year in his numbers before he got called up, Latos, in A-ball and Double-A, had an 8-1 record and a 1.38 ERA. He was just mowing down minor league hitters.
Coconut Creek High School, Broward Community College, and certainly a lot of friends and family here to watch this start. .92-mile-an-hour fastball. Padres coming from Cincinnati, where they took 2 of 3 for the Reds. The Reds a comeback win yesterday, and San Diego arrived here in South Florida at a leisurely hour.
They got in about 8 o'clock, 8:30.
Time for a nice late-night dinner there. Cody drives that ball in the gap, left center field. And it's going to go to the wall. Baker racing around second, headed for third. Espada will send him. Here comes Baker. Here comes a throw, and he's going to score. Our suspicions ring true.
Now Cody gets a pitch down in the zone and goes after it. Our Checkers double of the game. Look at that. He takes this ball off the ground, off his shoe tops, finds left center field, and gets it in that gap, and that allows John Baker to score from first inning. Just listen to us. We'll tell you. When Cody gets hot, just stay with us.
Is that a case in that at bat, Tommy, where if Cody doesn't see the changeup earlier in the at-bat, he's probably not on that pitch as he was?
Yeah, but also if it's a week ago, it doesn't matter.
That's a good point. Here's Sanchez now. And Gabby takes a breaking ball for a strike. It's 0-1. JJ's on deck. Latos missed away. And it's a ball and a strike. A 2-0 lead.
We continue, Rich, to see night in and night out these kinds of at-bats from Gabby Sanchez. He'll take a strike. He'll get deeper into a count. 7 doubles on the year.
And he's done it, for the most part, in one of the most difficult spots in a batting order, hitting 8th in the National League.
And a spot that coming up in the minor leagues, he never hit it. Rookie leaders right there amongst a couple of pretty good hitters. Colvin had a big day for the Cubs yesterday.
David Freese off to a big start. Yeah, they are hoping that Colvin is the real deal in Chicago, especially with the struggles of Soriano. Oh! 2-2.
Yeah, you'll see when you watch Latos, he will use a changeup. He's thrown some of those, a curveball, a slider. And what the Padres hope for, just 22 years old, that as he progresses, he gets more command of those other pitches.
Breaking ball, Gabby loops that one center field. Gwynn comes in and makes the catch.
Terrific outfielder is Tony Gwynn Jr. Got a good jump on that. Ball was hit off the end of the bat.
I think people lose sight of the fact that his father was a terrific outfielder early in his career.
Gold Glover. I think a lot of people who maybe recently followed the game remember Tony Gwynn Sr. a little portly, not the best of shape, but when he came up, he pretty much looked like Jr. Could run, steal bases, and was a tremendous outfielder. Not to mention a pretty good basketball player in college.
Point guard at San Diego State. Now the head baseball coach at San Diego State. Of course, worked with Steven Strasburg.
Think we'll see him before the year's out?
Think we'll see him next weekend? You know, it's tempting. That's a tough strike on a big man. Josh Johnson's 1-1. It's tempting, I'm sure, for the Nationals to just stick Strasburg in the rotation. It's tempting for the Marlins right now to call up Mike Stanton with the hot streak that he's on. JJ, ground ball left field, base hit. Cody round third. Here he comes. Blanks his throw. He is safe. Josh Johnson makes it 3-0.
JJ with 3 home runs last year, but picks up his first base hit this year and found a nice hole over there on the left side. I think you and I both like the aggressiveness of Joe Espada at third base.
I was just about to say, if you want to vote for Rookie of the Year early on, Joe Espada may get a few votes from up here.
He aggressively sends Cody Ross. They're 2 out. He knows that Blanks has an average throwing arm to throw a little bit offline, and Cody with a good slide.
There's Espada. Here's Maben, second time around against Latos. A little tapper foul. I think Maben, if you want to further that conversation about Stanton and Strasburg, Maben is a great example of you can rush a kid to the big leagues, and if he's not quite ready, it can hurt him more than help him. And I think for Maben's case, when the Tigers brought him up so young, that may have hindered his progress a little bit.
We're going to have Andre Dawson on top half the third inning, and I think a couple of points there we'll get a chance to ask Hawk about, a couple of young players that he's seen. And it's not all that easy. You look at the averages. Of course, everybody's heard about Jason Hayward, the young kid in Atlanta, first baseman. You know what? He's down to 240, 246, I think, going into play today. So it's a constant learning process.
Oh, 2. Foul back. And Hayward was a case of he absolutely forced the Braves' hand by the terrific spring that he had. Many scouts said that he was the best player they saw in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we've ever seen those two together before, but
they could be striking up a relationship for all we know.
I don't think he's Billy's type. Little tapper out towards short. Cabrera to Eckstein, but the Marlins get 2 from the bottom of the order. Big hits. Cody Ross and Josh Johnson. And headed to the third, the Fish have fashioned a 3-0 lead. You could pick him up and set him down in your day there. Hawk, how are you?
Fine, Rich, and yourself.
Very good. Thanks for stopping by.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, we asked this question to ourselves last week. We said, I wonder if Hawk has started writing his speech yet. Have you started?
Actually, I'm almost done.
Really?
It just has a few parts to it, and I'm kind of finishing up, tweaking it a little bit. I'm trying to figure out now how I'm going to address my kids, because that's going to be a tough one. But, yeah, I'm almost done with it.
Does the hall give you any guidelines at all? And you'll see this guy's dad when you get there, by the way, Tony Gwynn Jr.
Well, they ask that you probably keep it within the 10 to 15-minute range. The Hall of Famers themselves say 15 to 20 minutes. So I'll probably walk around, rehearse it a little bit, time myself, and see just, how long or how short I can keep it.
And you've been very gracious to us here at Fox Sports Florida. We're going to get a chance to follow you up to Cooperstown and through your week up there, which is going to be great, and we'll have a special Inside the Marlins on that. That's going to be very cool. Thank you for that, just to see all the behind-the-scenes look.
Well, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I've kind of been coached on it a great deal about, that whole process, and I'm going up for orientation next week. That should be fun and exciting. And time's flying. It was just, it don't seem like it's been 3 months since the announcement was made, and now that I think about it, we have less than 3 months before the actual ceremony.
You were so patient in waiting for your time when a lot of people, myself included, thought it should have happened before. But now that it has, does it have a special meaning?
I guess the wait has been well worth it. I don't think about it as much anymore, don't reflect. I look back and I say, well, you know, it took 9 years, but the bottom line is it was going to inevitably happen. It did happen, and I look at from the standpoint that, okay, you know, what did I do now? I'm going to be the only one going in, and it's going to be an exciting, nervous moment for me, of course, but very much so looking forward to it.
Hey, from what I've heard, the current Hall of Famers, the guys that you'll see like a Tony Gwynn, they make it easy on you, though. They'll have some fun with you the night before, I'm sure.
Yeah, the night before, the day of, just before. So there are going to be ways, I guess, to you know, calm myself, relax. But again, being the first and only one to go up there, it's going to be a little bit strange, a little bit different for me.
Yeah. The Padres now have Tony Gwynn at second base. This is Everett Cabrera, and he fouls it off at the plate. We've been discussing some young players, Steven Strasburg and Mike Stanton, and one of the valuable resources that the Marlins have is yourself, Jeff Conine, Tony Perez, the guys that are able to go watch these kids in the minor leagues, judge, give your thoughts and reports on them. What have you seen from Stanton? I know he's had a big 2 days up in Jacksonville.
Well, I haven't seen Stanton since the season started, actually, but you know, we get reports every day, and he's on a tear. He went back to Double-A. I think, you know, when they moved him up last year, he struggled a little bit and didn't really, you know, get out of the gates the way he probably would have liked to. And I think it was good this year to send him back there, even though he got a little taste of spring training, to really build his confidence. And he's been everything as phenomenal, I guess, as you can anticipate him being, because we have such high aspirations for him and expectations, and he hasn't disappointed.
On the other hand, too, you've seen a little bit more of Cameron Maybin playing at this level now from last year to this year. What improvements have you seen?
Well, he seems to, his approach is a little bit different. He has a lot more confidence, I think, and he's not really fighting himself. I really felt when we made this deal that, you know, I'd see a little different player from what I've seen, but I've always told him, you know, don't go outside of your makeup or your character. And I would like to see him be a little bit more aggressive. I envision him at least being a 15 to 20 home run guy, but to me, his bats are a little bit on the cautious side. But I do like to see and feel that, I think that, you know, he can be a little bit more aggressive up at the plate. Don't worry about the strikeouts. Just be a little bit more disciplined with your pitch selection and plate coverage, and, you know, let the bat head fly.
As a guy who's a very good outfielder yourself, he's made some strides defensively this year just in the 3 weeks that we've seen.
He has. You know, he can run and catch the ball. He can go get the ball. His throwing arm, of course, was a little questionable, and he's really worked on that diligently. And I always tell him, you know what, you're going to be a good outfielder. You just got to continue to work very aggressively and hard, and things will come to you. Let the game come to you. And I think he's still at this level trying to get his feet underneath him.
It's going to be a great 3 months for you. Hop, thank you for the visit, and we look forward to following you to Cooperstown.
Look forward to the speech.
All right, Rich.
around an organization. You know, guys that come up like Chris Coughlin are able to lean on a Conine. Maben can lean on Andre Dawson, because those guys obviously have been there, and even though the players are young, they still know who Andre Dawson is. They know who Tony Perez is. They saw Jeff Conine win a All-Star Game MVP.
That's a great point, and I think it's just terrific for the organization to have those guys around. When we're home, they're around every day, and these players out here can touch base with those guys anytime they want.
Now, his speech, and when we left for break, Hawk stayed in the booth, and we talked for another couple minutes just before we came on, and we continued to talk about the process of writing his speech for Cooperstown. And you brought up a good point, and you pointed out there are some players that have someone write the speech for them.
Yeah, and he said he's not doing that. He wants it from his heart to say the things that he wants to say, and he doesn't want to ramble, and he certainly wants to thank his mom and his grandma toward the end.
Yeah, that's great. He said he's saving that for the end of the speech because he knows that he will get emotional. So.
But I thought it was great what he told us, that he wants to address the state of the game, the youth of today. It's going to be a good one.
I think one of the things that I most respect about Andre Dawson's career is that nothing was handed to him. Not that, you know, guys that are Hall of Famers had anything handed to them, but he had to go to a small school, had to come up in an organization that got absolutely no national publicity. The Montreal Expos was part of some outstanding Expo teams that never quite got to the World Series.
Yeah, I was blessed to be a teammate of Hawks for 3.5 years and see Warren Cromartie, Andre Dawson, Ellis Valentine perform in that outfield.
And then he walked into the Cubs front office and said, "Pay me whatever you want. I want to play here." I mean, you think about the superstars of the game and how those guys got to the Hall of Fame. Dawson, every step of the way, had to overcome hurdles, had to prove himself, and it's just going to be so sweet to see him finally enshrined this summer. How does Frank Fort draw that assignment? I mean, earlier tonight, Frank is at the Mermaids calendar shoot, and I mean, there's Frank in his Fox Sports Florida golf shirt at the Mermaids calendar shoot. It's like that. I don't know. You were probably Sesame Street was way before your time, but you know, one of these things doesn't belong. Frank was the one thing in that shot.
Well, yeah.
Well, Rich, what was your favorite part of the calendar shoot?
Not you, Frank.
Good answer.
No offense, but Frank, tell us about your plans for the Hawk going up to Cooperstown.
Well, it's pretty much as you said, Rich. We're going to try and get as much access as possible, show you what happens the night before. The way I understand it, there's the evening before the induction, the incoming Hall of Famers with the existing Hall of Famers, they go on a special tour of the Hall, and it's a very private thing just for the Hall of Famers. We're going to try and get into that and just kind of chronicle Hawks weekend up there. I mean, I can only echo your thoughts about what a class individual and how deserving he is of this honor. I mean, all of us who have been around him knows what kind of player he was and what kind of person he continues to be. And by the way, coming up on Wednesday in Marlins Live pregame, we're going to have a feature on Hawk being honored at his old high school, Southwest High School in Miami. Recently, they had a ceremony honoring him there. So we'll have that on our pregame show on Wednesday. But that's all part of the process leading up to the Hall of Fame induction later this summer.
Yeah, they have a dinner as well the night before.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to have been invited to that dinner by Gary Carter. Close friends and family, there's just a certain number that they can invite. And Gary and his wife Sandy invited my wife and I to the dinner. And I'll never forget sitting in this room, and I think it's after that when the Hall of Famers then take off on their own, but sitting in that room and nudging my wife and saying, "Look over at that table there. There's Willie Mays and Orlando Cepeda." Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing.
So, Frank, you're going to have to disguise yourself as Johnny Bench to get in. It sounds like.
Well, and I think the other cool thing about it, Rich and Tommy, is that he now goes in and is alongside a guy like Tony Perez, who, as you mentioned, they work together as special assistants. They're around the ball club all the time. We see him in spring training. We see him around the cage. They're great friends, and we all know Tony deserves to be there. We all knew Hawk deserved it as Cantu rips it down the line. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, and that one's in the corner, and Hanley's racing for third. Blanks picks it up. Hanley to third, and he'll be stopped there. And that was a good stop sign by Joe Espada because Blanks got to it. Hanley wasn't running all that well. I'm not sure if he's dinged up a little bit. But Cantu picks up a double. It's his 8th of the season. Go ahead, Frank, finish.
I think it's just so cool. I can't think of another word other than cool to have both these guys, and we deal with them all the time, and they're the best of people. They're always willing to discuss anything with you, baseball, whatever it may be, and to have both these guys now in the Hall of Fame side by side and have them both working for the Marlins, and we're around them a lot, and I just think it's great.
Yeah, treasures in South Florida.
They absolutely are.
Dan Uggla now with runners at second and third and just one out. And Uggla takes outside from Matt Latos. Remember, Uggla had that 3-0 count his first time up, and then Latos got a borderline strike, and then another, and then Uggla took his mightiest rip at a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and the mighty Casey struck out. Breaking ball at the end of the bat. It squirts into right field. That's a base hit. Hanley scores. Cantu is stopped there, and the Marlins pick up another. Well, that was not a thing of beauty, but Dan Uggla will take it.
Oh, yeah, it is. Not for us to watch, but it certainly was for Dan Uggla. It's a cue shot off the end of the bat, and with the infield in, this ball gets into the outfield easily. And this is a situation, so it's good to see Dan get that base hit, driving the run. We saw a few times on the road trip where the Marlins had opportunities to blow open a game, add on a little bit, get a bigger lead, and they weren't able to do so. So that's a big base hit right there, and they got a chance to get another one.
John Baker's coming up. You can see Latos' pitch count. He's already up to 61. Marlins hitting here in the third.
Now, the Marlins have had a nice approach. Latos probably not his best stuff. He's missed with some breaking balls. I think they've tuned into the fastball. Marlins are a team that doesn't matter how hard you throw. The pitchers that give them trouble are the off-speed guys.
Middle infield's back for two. Cabrera and Eckstein. Uggla's at first. Cantu's at third. Baker digs in. Would you think about a little hit and run here with Uggla at first?
No, I think John Baker, he could do that. I wouldn't rule it out, but I think I'd like to see him just focus on a good pitch and drive, at least get the run in from third. Base hit, long fly ball.
Breaking ball down low. It's 2-0.
And the other thing, when you have a pitcher out there who's got pinpoint control, it's tough to put on a hit and run because you don't know what you're going to get.
He's probably going to get something straight and fast. Now that wasn't fast, but it wasn't straight. And it's 3-0. Bake singled and scored in the second.
Let's see if he has a green light here. 3-0.
Latos looks like he's at times dials down that fastball.
Yeah, I was going to say we haven't seen the 97 lately. It looks like he's a little tentative and he's trying to pinpoint it, and he's been around 93, 92.
Latos with a kind of an awkward step and spin. And Freddie Gonzalez is not happy. He thought that was a balk.
Yeah,
you know what?
That's very close.
It is. Because the same rules apply for a right-hander in stepping towards third as it does a lefty towards first. Baker takes a strike. That's a big sequence right there. Here's a look at the move. Yep,
He
that's a
doesn't
balk.
step toward third base. That is a balk that was not called.
It's the same deal. You draw a line from the end of the rubber to the baseline, and if he steps on the home plate side and doesn't come home, it's a balk by rule. There goes Uggla. Baker swings and misses. Throw down to second. It's dug out. Uggla is safe. It looked like Cabrera on the tag tried to push Uggla off the base, and now here comes Bud Black out to argue that Ugla's slide took him off the base.
Now, Bud Black should be just happy that a balk wasn't called on his pitcher. Remember, you don't have to throw to third in that case, but you have to step toward there. There's the slide straight on.
He shoved
By
him
that
around the
point
base.
in time, he's pushed him off. Yeah, and you can't just do that as an infielder. Okay, Cabrera's saying, hey, it was off the bag. Well, if you take 2 or 3 seconds to push him off the bag, eventually you'll get him off the bag. They're laughing about it now.
He had to put his weight behind it to get him off. Cody Ross now. Runners at second and at third. Ross an RBI double in the second. And so Cody's bat has sparked a life. Fastball is high. 3 for his last 5 with a couple of doubles. Put himself in a good fastball count.
Remember that pitch he hit for a double? He raked off the shoe tops in the left center field.
Pitch number 70 for Latos. Didn't get the fastball, did he?
Yeah, see, you start that swing, you're ready for the fastball, and he didn't get it. So he came at him with the slider that looked initially like a fastball, but it wasn't.
Breaking ball up. All right, he came slider on 2-0. Does he come slider on 3-1?
I think he could, only because first base is open. And if he misses, he can just go after Gabby Sanchez. So it's not a given that he has to reach back and throw the fastball.
Wants it up. That's fastball.
Yep.
And he bounced one up there.
Badly.
So he threw the fastball, walks Cody. This is a great spot now for Gabby, Tommy, because you're constantly coming up in the 8th spot with pitchers playing mind games. Is he pitching around me? Is he going to give me something to hit? Now he knows the bases are loaded. Latos has got to come after him.
Got to come after him. Gabby has said one of the guys who helped him so much in all of these situations and thinking about him is Wes Helms. And you know, with Gabby's way of making a pitcher work, he's going to make him throw strikes.
Cantu, Uggla, and Ross. A run across and a 4-0 lead. For the first time, the Padres' pen is up, and it's Sean Gallagher.
Not a great ERA for Gallagher, but a bullpen that's 4th in the league with a 2.88 ERA.
He's the long man for the Padres, one of the few relievers for the Padres that has not had a lot of success this year. See what he gets, 2-0. Nope.
Boy, all the pressure right now is on the 22-year-old right-hander, Matt Latos. And that's one of the things as a hitter in this situation that you have to realize. Right now the pressure's on Latos to throw a pitch right down the middle. Gabby will be taking 3-0.
And he misses.
Not even close.
And the Marlins pick up another run.
I would think, even though Josh Johnson had a base hit his last time up, the only reason Latos is still in the game is because it's JJ coming to the plate. Eckstein in the infield, though, they may be trying to stall a little time.
"29 pitches this inning already. And he misses to JJ.
This might be a situation that before he even stepped up there, Freddie or somebody on the bench may have said, just take a strike. Make him throw a strike before you even think about swinging. Or just zero in on fastball.
Two and 0. And Latos has lost the plate. Uggla had the RBI single. Cody walked. Gabby walked. Do you think JJ even looked down there to see if he'd get the green light?
No.
Hoping. He's capable of hitting it out. He had 3 home runs last year. 3-1.
Yeah, and the thing about JJ as a hitter, he usually doesn't go up and swing wildly. He's pretty patient. He had a good eye there to take that ball 3.
Full count. Runners will be on the move.
Boy, he's really dialed down that fastball now. That last one, 90.
Three-two coming. JJ into center field. That's a base hit. Uggla scores. Here comes Cody. Sanchez to third. And Josh Johnson is 2 for 2 with 3 RBIs.
Have a night already, Josh Johnson. That was just very patient. He knew he was going to get that fastball. Latos not throwing as hard as he was earlier in the game. Here it comes, middle of the plate. He has a nice swing. And that's going to be all for the Padre right-hander.
Bud Black on his way out to the mound. And the Marlins, who have been searching for add-on runs, and found a bunch here tonight. 7-0. Marlins chase Matt Latos. 7 runs. Cameron Maben is the 9th man to hit here in the 3rd inning. And he faces Sean Gallagher, a 24-year-old who snaps off a good breaking ball for a strike. Came over from the Oakland Athletics in exchange for Scott Hairston, who has rejoined the Padres.
Yeah, Gallagher, originally in the Cubs organization, has a nice downer curveball, fastball, and changeup. The 3 RBIs, by the way, tonight from Josh Johnson ties a career high.
Maben roller to 3rd, and Headley's throw is just in time to get Cameron Maben. But the Marlins put 4 more on the board and stretch it to 7-0. Baker Concrete Super Saturdays. Of course, that includes a post-game concert, fireworks show, and more. Upcoming concerts include this Saturday, salsa legend Willie Chirino. It's on May 1st. The Spirit of Michael Jackson Laser Spectacular is on May 15th. 1877 Marlins today. John Baker. Excited about that. Not the Michael Jackson Laser Show, but the fact that it's Baker Concrete.
I don't know, did Fake get a piece of the action there?
There's Gonzalez. Yeah, it's one of the luxuries now for Josh Johnson is with a guy like Gonzalez who's so dangerous in this Padre order, he can go right after him. Because if he pumps one in the seats, it's still a 6-run lead. Sharp ground ball to first.
And many times you go right after a guy, and what does he do? He hits a sharp ground ball to first.
Bring up Chase Headley. AT&T trivia question. Cue the question. Expansion draft. Padres first pick. 68. Boy, we're going to go back to the old Nate Colbert.
Yeah, you start throwing out the Cito Gaston, Nate Colbert. Ollie Brown, the good one. Gene Locklear. That's really reaching back.
That really is. And of course, back then, the Ray Kroc ownership group. Padres, of course, would get to the postseason in actually get to the World Series in 1984. Time called. They were beaten by Detroit. Dick Williams was their manager in '84. back to the World Series in '98 against the Yankees.
You mentioned Nate Colbert. He is their all-time home run leader, 163 career home runs as a Padre, and Adrian Gonzalez creeping up on that list. He's fourth.
In fact, we've got two guys in this game who by the end of the season are going to be the career home run leaders for their teams. Headley doesn't like that call, and he barks at Chris Cuccione.
Well, I tell you what, when you've been in the zone the way Josh Johnson has been in the zone tonight, strikeout number 5, he's walked only 1, giving up the 1 base hit. He gets some help from John Baker. Look at how he catches that pitch that's down and pulls it up just a little.
That one was off the radar, Tommy. But Bake did a nice job of
I thought we almost got off the radar during our flight last night, too, at one point in time.
JJ throws a strike. The two guys that are going to be the all-time home run leaders for their respective ball clubs at the end of this year are Adrian Gonzalez for the Padres and Dan Uggla for the Marlins. Both those guys, if they have their typical year, are going to get there.
Well, with running the bases with a long inning, no problem at all for Josh Johnson here in the 4th inning.
Two and two to Will Venable.
You have to think, Rich, that there'll certainly be some kind of trickle-down effect with the announced signing of Ryan Howard. The Phillies supposedly signing him to a 5-year contract, $125 million. That's certainly going to help Adrian Gonzalez somewhere down the line.
And, of course, the Padres and their general manager, Jed Hoyer. It sounds strange to say that because Kevin Towers had been there for so long, but Jed Hoyer is the general manager now. Obviously, you have to weigh the balance sheet and what they might be able to get back if they did trade Adrian Gonzalez. Would they be able to replace him with a lot of talent and add to the ball club they've got?
That would be a tough hit for the organization because he's a local guy. Bud Black and the Padres are going to have to make a tough decision, I think. Right now, he's extremely affordable.
And I think having him around the young players that are coming up takes a lot of pressure off of those players because he's been able to perform almost as a lone cowboy without a lot of support in the lineup. Venable goes down.
There's that 90-mile-an-hour slider again that JJ's featured tonight.
JJ has featured a lot tonight, including 3 RBIs. Miami skyline. You'll be able to see that skyline from the new ballpark in 2012.
Rich, you see that 7 spot up there? The most runs the Padres have allowed this year in any game has been 7. So the Marlins have matched that. The most runs they've allowed in any one inning this year has been 4. The Marlins matched that at the bottom of the 3rd.
Bottom of the 4th here, Chris Coghlan, along with Hanley Ramirez and Jorge Cantu, against Sean Gallagher. At Litos 2 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 7 runs. 0-2 to Coghlan. Chris 0 for 2 has bounced out twice. He fouls that pitch off of his foot. Josh Johnson, 4 innings, 6 strikeouts now. Walked 1, given up just 1 hit.
Pretty good pitch count, too, for Josh Johnson. 54 pitches through his 4 innings. Great piece on Marlins on Deck and Josh's recovery process from the Tommy John surgery.
It's a great quote from his brother in that piece. And he talked about what the surgery did for Josh and his mental approach to the game. And we saw that, Tommy, when he came back, coming back in just 11 months after the surgery before pitching again. Coghlan knocks one into left center field. Aggressive turn. Gwynn gets there, and the throw to first gets by Gonzalez. Coghlan will stay right there. So Chris has his first hit.
Boy, that was a nice swing. 2 strikes. He's able to take care of a hanging curveball out over the plate. Doesn't try to pull it. And then takes that real aggressive turn. And because of the aggressive turn, you have an infielder behind you saying, hey, there may be a play at first. That's not just a blind throw. So a good turn, though, by Cogs, and a good swing, too.
Here comes Hanley. Josh's brother said that the surgery and the rehab made him rededicate himself to the game, and one of the keys, Josh said, to last year was keeping the same workout regimen that he had when he was rehabbing.
Yeah, and it wasn't that he was in bad shape before, but he came back in great shape after the rehab process. Great comments from his parents saying how they would talk to him and wanted to know if they were needed here, and he said, no, I'm going to take care of it. I've got it all under control. He gave his wife lots of credit.
Hanley sends that one to center field. Quinn is back, and he makes the catch. Hanley's hit the ball hard twice. First time was up in the seats. First pitch for the Padres in the 68 expansion draft.
Let's see if it's a memorable name.
Ollie Brown.
Ollie Brown.
That was Jim Hawley's guess.
Had the privilege of being a teammate of Ollie Brown's in Philadelphia. Used to call him Downtown Ollie Brown, Obi.
How many guys named Brown were nicknamed Downtown?
Downtown, probably a lot.
1-1 to Cantu. Jorge struck out in the first, doubled in the third. One ball, one strike. The Marlins and the Padres, it's a 3-game series. If you were to handicap tonight's game based on travel alone, the Padres would be prohibitive favorites. The Marlins probably not getting back to their homes until 3:30, 4 o'clock. What time did the lights go out for you last night?
A little after 4.
About 4 o'clock.
Yeah, about 4.
And the Padres, as Tommy pointed out, got in 8 o'clock last night, comfortably from Cincinnati. But here the Marlins are. They've jumped on them 7-0.
So So in hindsight, it was a great choice of JJ picking first class.
That's right.
On that connected flight out of Atlanta.
Marlins, as many teams do when they
we have to explain that.
When they have a late night trip, go into a city and a game the next night, many teams will fly the starting pitcher ahead. Cantu hooks that one to left. Blanks runs it down, and he makes the catch. So once the Marlins had their game moved back, and it looked like they were going to get into 3 o'clock, they went to JJ with a couple of choices. One was a nonstop in coach. The other was connect through Atlanta first class.
And when you're 6'7" and you need the leg room, you take the first class.
Uggla takes a breaking ball for a strike. The 2 outs that Gallagher has here in the 4th inning were hit well. Hanley's line drive to center, Cantu's line drive to left. Up and in. The Padres rotation, heck, their whole pitching staff has been incredible. Last 3 series, and that is inclusive of the 8-game win streak and the loss yesterday to Cincinnati. An ERA of 1.36. That's in 8 games, 1.36.
Well, that's why it's impressive what the Marlins have been able to do, and it's not even halfway through this one.
Full count, 3-2. Let's see if Uggla gets the heater. Daniel hits it left field deep, and gone! His name is Dan Uggla.
And it wasn't the heater, and he was ready for it anyway.
What a week for Uggla. 3 homers on the road trip. Not much sleep last night, no problem. 5th home run of the season.
Sometimes a pitcher will say, well, if it's a 3-2 pitch, he's ready for the fastball. I'll just flip up and spin something. Well, he spun the curveball. It hung middle of the plate in, and Dan Uggla had no problem with it.
John Baker swinging from the heels, and it's 0-1. So the Marlins, a 9-0 lead, and it's already the bottom of the 4th. Hanley has homered. Uggla has homered.
Most runs the Marlins have scored in a game this year, 10 against Cincinnati.
Now, don't go anywhere, kids. I know you're probably, many of you are thinking to yourself,
and you're feeling pretty good right now.
It's 9-0. What else is on? Got to flip through the channels, see if there's another ball game on. But remember, we have the 10-run reel. And if the Marlins go up by 10, our crew in the truck is going to scramble and debut the 10-run reel. And basically, the 10-run reel has all the goofy stuff that we've accumulated over the last couple of years from ballparks.
Yeah, some Marlins related, some totally unrelated.
Some mascot related. Some we've hijacked from the internet and places like that. Might see a mascot fall off a dugout.
Might see some college teams represented.
Three-two. Bake takes down low, and he's aboard. Might be a few drive-by pie-ins on the 10-run reel. The Copyright telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and scripts of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins.
Well, there's some rain around baseball. The Mets, their game tonight has been postponed. Mets were hosting the Dodgers. So they'll have to double up at Citi Field probably tomorrow.
Nationals are playing the Cubs. Cody in the hole. Cabrera, it's a long throw. And a good one. That's a heck of a play by the young shortstop, Everett Cabrera. Uggla goes bang. Baseball. Nine nothing. Dan Uggla is homered, 5th homer of the season. Uggs now with 14 RBIs. Uggla and JJ both have driven in 3 runs apiece.
Kind of an interesting thing about a game, and you even find yourself, and I'm sure Freddie is thinking about this now. In close games, yes, he's thinking about moves and who's going to come in from the bullpen. But right now, he has to think, okay, how long am I going to stay with Josh Johnson because the lead is so big? And who then will I get out of the bullpen to get some work? And so those things are going through his mind right now. Might be a little too early for that. You want to see JJ extend things. You want to see him get into the 7th inning, maybe 8th inning, and this is where it becomes borderline if he gets close to a shutout. Then what do you do? So a lot of things that Freddie's thinking about, even though it's 9-0 right now.
JJ, 7 strikeouts now. Buries that fastball and gets Kyle blanks. Time now for the Keep Your Edge Spotlight. Everybody awake now. Brought to you by Just for Men Mustache and Beard. Josh Johnson is giving the Marlins the edge. Or maybe he's giving the Padres the business. You too can keep your edge with Just for Men Mustache and Beard. Nick Hundley. Breaking ball, ground ball. Cantu, quick release. Nice play on both corners by Cantu and by Sanchez.
That's a play you and I have talked about a few times this year already. with a first baseman, and Gabby with some nice footwork there, you have to determine, okay, the throw's a little high, but you have time because the runner's not there. So you can let the throw go a little bit further. You go across the bag, take it that way, and you make the out. So good play, good footwork by Gabby.
Has that always been a play in baseball that first basemen have made? I mean, going back into the...
As far as I can remember, yeah.
Was it taught to you coming up in the Dodgers organization?
You know, it's almost an instinctive thing. Maybe if you didn't do it, you might be taught it or told it. But instinctively, if you did it, it was just something that was natural.
Gwynn singled his first time up. That's a strike.
Yeah, the only hit of the night for the Padres. We talked about Tony Gwynn Jr. and his dad, of course, compiling all the hits. And then you add another Gwynn. You had Chris Gwynn, his uncle.
Who is, I believe, a scout for the Padres. Part of the scouting department. It's outside. Tony Gwynn Jr., of course, coming up in the Milwaukee organization. Did not swing. They had a lot of talent in that outfield in Milwaukee, and the Padres traded for him. Two. Gabby off the bag. JJ's over quickly. And a nice, tidy fifth inning for Josh Johnson. Marlins are rolling tonight. Homestand for the Fish. Hanley Ramirez, Dan Uggla have gone deep. Josh Johnson has been untouchable, and he's driven in 3 runs. Along with Tommy Hutton, Frank Fort, Jeff Conine, our entire Fox Sports Florida crew, Rich Waltz. Here is Sanchez against Sean Gallagher.
And on the other dugout for Bud Black, he's just trying to figure out, okay, which pitchers in my bullpen need to get some work. He'll try to get Gallagher through one more inning.
I don't know if the Padres have a 10-run reel, though. I can dash over and ask Dick Enberg between innings.
We'll ask Dick Enberg and Mark Grant if they have put together a 10-run reel.
Central Michigan University, Jim Hawley points out, and it's nice to have him back in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, long time an Angels broadcaster, been out of baseball as far as doing day-to-day games for close to 25 years. Of course, a national voice and name in many sports. So good to talk to him today, and good to see him back.
And I will say this, for a guy that is a Hall of Fame broadcaster, not going into the Baseball Hall of Fame, but a guy that has called every major event from Super Bowls to Grand Slam tennis, NCAA tournaments, all of that, to see him before the game on the field talking to players while Freddie Gonzalez was visiting with the local media, there was Enberg standing there listening in to the Marlins manager. And you and I know it's part of our routine how important that is for a broadcaster, be it a television or a radio broadcaster. But to see a guy like Enberg get down there in the trenches just like that was very impressive.
He had an interesting comment about that. He was talking to me and some other people, and he said, well, you guys have been in the game over the last 20, 30 years. He said, I've got a period where I wasn't, so I have to fill my catalog. I have to fill my library of baseball things.
One of the routines that we have anytime we see a team is, number one, you go down and talk to a visiting manager or pitching coach, but you also get a chance to exchange information with other broadcasters. How about JJ? A 3-hit night. Smokes it to center field.
I mean, he's locked in on both sides, pitching and hitting. Remember, his base hit back in the third inning was right back up the middle to drive in 2. His first base hit was to left field, so he's staying back. He's driving the ball well.
Josh Johnson and Gabby Sanchez aboard. Here comes Cameron Maybin.
That's part of the fun of our job, to be able to come out and talk to other managers, other players, broadcasters.
Maybin takes a strike.
Career high, by the way, for Josh with 3 hits in a game.
He's tied a career high with 3 RBIs. Freddie's gonna say to him, Tommy, he's gonna say, you know, JJ, we're up 9-0, 10-0, or whatever it is. I need to take you out and rest you fresh for your next start. And JJ's gonna say, Skip, I'm 3 for 3.
Yeah, I want to get a 4th hit. By the way, that last swing, I think we saw a little of the tentativeness that Andre Dawson was talking about when he was talking about Cameron Maybin. Sometimes you want to see him just let it fly. Don't worry too much about the strikeouts.
Coughlin fouls it back. Coughlin in this one is 1 for 3. So Chris has a hit in each of his last 3 ball games, and that may not sound like much, but for a guy that was, as they say, on the interstate, hitting 120 last week, that's a lot.
Well, and you also break it down, he's 4 for his last 11. So it's a long road when you get yourself off to an awful start, which he did this year.
Because you can bury yourself. Your inclination is to start swinging at everything and try to get it all back at once. Coughlin's ground ball picked up by Headley. Eckstein's turn is not in time.
And then sometimes you hit one decent the other way, and Headley, the third baseman, made a nice play.
Hanley's coming up now with runners at the corners. Line drive out, a walk, and a homer for Hanley.
Yeah, I think Hanley set the tone early in the game.
Our Coors Light cold, hard blast.
Took a hard fastball from Matt Latos up and out over the plate, and his second home run of the year. Each home run this year has been to the opposite field.
You've seen a couple breaking balls in the dirt from Gallagher. Sharp ground ball, Cabrera. Eckstein, that 10-run reel will have to wait for the time being. In the Diamond Dash 1877 Marlins. Josh Johnson at the knees for a strike. And Sean Gallagher gets his first AB.
Well, you get an idea right now what Black is doing with his bullpen. He wants to give a few guys a rest. He wants a few more innings out of Gallagher.
JJ has punched out 7. The Gwynn single, the only hit, that was back in the 3rd. Wow. That was easy. 8 strikeouts. Let's check in with Frank Fort. Frank?
All right, thanks very much, guys. Tonight is Josh Johnson's 5th career appearance against the San Diego Padres. He only made one previous start. That was also the last time he faced the Padres. It was July 4th of 2007. That was a fateful day for Josh. Now, he'd been on the DL earlier that season with some elbow discomfort. On that particular day, he was going strong, 5 innings, no earned runs, came out to warm up for the 6th, felt a twinge in the elbow, and that, in fact, was the time it was determined that there was a serious injury. Josh would undergo the Tommy John surgery a couple weeks later in 2007, come back 11 months later, and since then, 23-7, second best winning percentage in baseball since the All-Star break in 08. 23-7, second in winning percentage, only behind Chris Carpenter. But the last time before tonight he faced the Padres certainly was a fateful day in Josh Johnson's career. Guys?
Yeah, it's been a nice ride. The other guys on that list behind Josh, Adam Wainwright. Behind Wainwright, CC Sabathia.
He's some pretty good pitchers, top-name pitchers in the major leagues. Josh Johnson now, in his brief career and brief appearances against the Padres, has worked a little over 12 innings against San Diego and has given up just 6 hits and no runs.
Cabrera, he goes down swinging. 9 strikeouts.
This was 92 miles an hour. It had a little movement to it. Hard to tell if it was the slide. It's just a fastball that had some movement.
He's been featuring a pitch tonight, though, Tommy, that's been in the low 90s, a 90, 91, and his fastball usually lives at 95.
like that, 94, 95.
Here is Eckstein. You know you're on when you strike out David Eckstein. Just 2 punch-outs so far this year. Josh got him in the first inning. Eckstein last year one of the toughest to strike out. He struck out 46 times the entire season. And he slices one into center field, the base hit. David Eckstein at 35 has had an incredible career for a guy that had to walk on at Florida and then crawl his way up in the Angels organization. He was the starting shortstop for that World Series team. Look at that. And we knew that our producer, John Sulzer, a fellow Gator, would have some Eckstein footage from his time at the University of Florida. He and Mark Ellis were the double play combination.
Yeah, Eckstein was the shortstop, Ellis the second baseman. And Eckstein was at second, and then they switched over when they got to the big leagues.
That's right.
I knew I'd get that right. Yeah, he was actually claimed off waivers after a solid minor league career in the Red Sox organization. 3 or 4 good years.
Yep. He had a good World Series with the Angels. He hit .310. And then he got back to the World Series with the St. Louis Cardinals, and he was the World Series MVP in 2006.
By the way, Oscar Salazar pinch hitting for Adrian Gonzalez.
Pop up. Baker tosses the mask and squeezes it. And Josh Johnson has worked 6 splendid innings here tonight. 9-0 Fish.
And Adrian Gonzalez, who doesn't miss many games, so he's just going to give him a breather. Josh Johnson has given everybody a breather tonight. The offense has helped out. He's helped out with 3 hits and 3 RBIs and been spectacular on the mound.
Gallagher throws a strike to Cantu. Jorge has a double, has lined out and struck out.
Cantu tied with some pretty big hitters in the National League in RBIs. All with 20. Ryan Braun, Matt Kemp, and Mark Reynolds. Reynolds of the Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks have scored first in Colorado. And they've got Dan Herron on the mound. It's 3-0 going to the bottom of the first.
So I guess it's not snowing tonight in Denver. I think it's cool that it's not snowing. It's in the 40s.
Andy LaRoche has a homer. His second for Arizona. As Tommy told you, the Dodgers and the Mets were postponed tonight. outstanding matchup tonight in San Francisco with the Phillies 11-7 against the Giants 10-8. Roy Halladay and Jonathan Sanchez. As we told you, Sanchez is a guy that last pitched against Latos and the Padres, gave up 1 hit and lost. Cantu walks. Here comes Uggla. Time for a little freeze cam time. Coors Light freeze cam. Remember Dan Uggla trying to steal a bag? Hard slide. Foot was just on the base. Everett Cabrera gave him a little shove. Just like that. But Brian Honor, the second base umpire, was on it. If the foot...
That was a good call, because if you do come off the bag, yeah, you're out. But if there's a little extra shove, then no.
Uggla cranked a 2-run homer in the 4th. And that was off of Gallagher. RBI single in the 3rd. So his numbers are climbing up. You see 5 homers, 14 RBIs. And as we've been telling you all April, Uggla has been a very slow starter, not a big April player. Uggla swings and misses. There comes Baker.
That time, Gallagher buried a pretty good breaking ball. The one that Uggla hit for the home run back in the 4th inning wasn't a good one.
Bake will always remember the San Diego Padres as the team that he faced when he made his big league debut in San Diego. That was a very special time for a guy that spent a long time at AAA in the Oakland Athletics organization, never got an opportunity, though he deserved one, to play in the big leagues with the A's. Parts of 5 years in AAA. Was a 4th-round pick by the A's in 2002. Bake jettisons the bat and trots down to first, and Cody's coming up.
Well, Bake's been on base 3 times tonight, a single, a couple of walks.
The Braves are in St. Louis, and Atlanta's just looking for a win. They have a 2-0 lead against Kyle Loesch and the Cardinals in the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Boy, Atlanta's lost 5 in a row.
Marlins don't see the Braves. The Marlins schedule is backloaded with lots of Braves games. Not until the end of May do the Marlins see the Braves. And not until July do the Marlins even go to Atlanta. Cody dumps one into right field. Cantu to 3rd. And he'll be held there. That's one where Cody was probably thinking to himself, I wish he would have sent him.
Well, I think the choice by Joe Espada at 3rd base is it's 9-0. There's no sense to, number one, take chances. There's no sense to rub it in somebody's face. And just play it that way.
I like that. But I think Cody still wishes he'd have sent him.
But another base hit by Cody.
Hit, and it looks like his bat is sparking to life.
And his night is over. He can relax. Brett Carroll's coming in.
Gabby Sanchez fouls it back. 9-0. Fish on top, bottom 6. Marlins trying to go up by 10. Our crew in the truck has been madly scrambling the last 2 innings, making sure they have the 10-run reel ready. Joe Thatcher in the Padres pen.
Gabby Sanchez, even though he's walked a couple of times, one of those with bases loaded, got an RBI. Gabby and Cameron Maben, the only 2 hitters in the lineup without a base hit.
That one is crushed in the left field. That's a base hit. Cantu will score, and it's 10-0. Second RBI for Sanchez. So the Marlins have enjoyed their night, and the guy at the plate has been the leader of the pack. 3 hits, 3 RBIs, 9 strikeouts, just 2 hits allowed. And he's back up with the bases loaded. Hut.
And 1 out. And got a great round of applause from the crowd that's here tonight.
He might get a 1-0 fastball here. Ooh.
That's okay. He's locked in. He doesn't mind if he gets a strike or 2 on him.
Brett Carroll, of course, running for Cody. And there's Gabby. Outside corner.
To show you what a 3-for-3 night can do, he's raised his career average from 144 to 161.
That's nice.
And remember, he came into the game 0 for 6, so he was hitting 0, and he's now 3 for 9, so he's hitting 333.
And JJ goes down. He's human.
Yeah, and he got a nasty hook. He wasn't going to get another fastball after Gallagher had gotten ahead. So now it's Cameron's turn to join the party.
So the magical 10-run distance has been reached. And so when we come back from our next break, the 2010 debut, our first taste of the 10-run reel. Maben taps it foul. We know that many of you, once the Marlins were up 9-0, were hanging in just for that. And my producer, John Sulzer, who's been compiling this for the past, what, 3-4 years?
Yeah, endless hours in the tape room.
I mean, if he's got Eckstein as a Gator, there's no telling what he's got in his bag of tricks. Although he did burn the Exmo squirrel figuratively, not literally, when we were in Denver.
I think our producer, John Sulzer, even has quotes from Eckstein on Tebow as a Bronco.
2-2. Maven hits a fly ball. Venable is over and makes the catch. Marlins add a run when we get back. There it is. Exmo Squirrel, the 10-run reel is coming at you. attack suit and run from the attack dog. Let's see how it worked out.
Wow, that's cool to see how good of an actor I am.
Now, the best part is the guy you hear laughing uncontrollably is John Baker on that trip.
And there you have the entire Marlins organization looking at their Rookie of the Year
getting ragdolled
with a face plant.
Chase Headley lined out on the first pitch, and Will Venable takes a strike from Josh Johnson. Johnson is having a spectacular night. Venable is 2 of his 9 strikeouts. So that's just a taste of what you get when the Marlins go up 10 or go down 10.
We try to have some fun with it. Josh had 10 strikeouts in 6 innings against the Reds. His career high is 11, so he's only a couple away from that.
Coughlin said the expert there told him, well, let him chew on your arm. Coughlin said, chew on my arm? They said, no, let him chew on your arm because it'll be protected and he won't go after your face or your head or anything. But he went down, and he went down hard. And Will Venable goes down.
Hey, on a nice changeup. A few of those tonight from JJ, too.
Maybe we ought to have a 10K reel here. Josh Johnson has punched out 10. Baker Concrete Super Saturday on the 1st. Willie Chirino, salsa legend, will be in concert. And that follows a fireworks spectacular, all presented by Badia Spices. Marlins Nationals at 7:10. Here's Kyle Blanks. Hanley deep on the outfield grass. Nice smooth play.
Nice inning.
Nice smooth inning. Josh Johnson, 86 pitches. Manager episodes in the minor leagues. Philip Wellman in the Braves organization. This was from a couple seasons ago, and this was his best move. The rosin bag as a hand grenade. Watch it land.
It's just a perfect throw, too. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Joe Thatcher, welcome aboard. Chris Coughlin, Hanley, we'll see if Hanley hits. And then Brian Barden in Cantu's spot. And Coughlin takes ball 1. You saw Thatcher's numbers. He's part of that Padre bullpen that is just terrific. We've seen a couple really good bullpens back-to-back, Tommy. in the Colorado Rockies and now the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, Thatcher just coming off the disabled list with some shoulder issues, a strained shoulder, so making just his second appearance this year. But needed in that bullpen for the Padres, being the fact that he's a left-hander. You can see how he delivers. He has that nasty delivery, tough on lefty hitters.
Breaking ball, swing and a miss. Toyota Trend, Padre pitching. Opponents coming into this game hitting .225 against the Padres, second best in the National League. The Giants and their rotation will be here to finish off the homestand.
Well, and we talked about it earlier in the game, the fact that the Padres came into this game with the third best ERA in the major leagues at 2.87. And the Marlins have put a pretty good dent in that with 10 runs on their 12 hits.
Hanley's home run started things back in the first. That was against Coconut Creek High School's Matt Latos. Latos is going to go to 0-2 against the Marlins in this ballpark, but I think he is a youngster. He's only 22, who has a very bright future.
Oh, he's going to fit in nicely, I think, down the road. For the Padres, they have a veteran.
Cabrera on a hop, and the Nicaraguan shortstop throws out Hanley Ramirez.
A veteran in Chris Young, who they're hoping to get back. I don't know if he's very near. The people I talked to this year, it didn't sound like he was that near yet. And go along with John Garland, another veteran who's in their rotation. This kid is a slick fielder, Everett Cabrera. We saw that last year when we saw him for the first time. And a nice pick by Salazar.
And the Padres are trying to do essentially what the Marlins did with Dan Uggla. They snatched Cabrera from the Rockies organization in the Rule 5 draft. He never got higher than single A with the Rockies, but the Padres had seen him enough in the minor leagues that they took a flyer on him. Here's Barden getting his first at bat of the ball game. Cantu left after going 1 for 3 with a double.
Barton hasn't gotten a whole lot of opportunities, but we've told you about his ability to play many, many positions.
Barton lines it foul. Had a very good spring with the bat and the glove, and the glove so important for your backup infielder, your utility infielder.
Barton was a teammate of Dan Uggla's back in 2004 in Double-A.
Yeah, that's
when they were coming up with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, and both of those guys were kind of passed over by the Stephen Drews and the Mark Reynolds coming up in the Arizona organization.
I think I remember asking Uggla that in the spring about Barton, and he said, I said, where did you guys play? And Ugg said, I didn't play all the time. He said Barton was in there all the time.
I think that's one of the reasons why, and we saw it with Uggla when he showed up in 2006. He's always played with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and he's used it to his advantage.
Blue-collar type player.
Because he, by all accounts, put up the type of numbers in the minor leagues that would warrant getting a shot. I remember talking to Bob Melvin, the manager of the Diamondbacks, and he said, spring training games, he always kept saying, who's this guy Uggla? Because, you know, all the reports they talked about.
Him over to get into a big league game.
Yeah, they talk about Drew and Reynolds and the others, and Melvin kept saying, well, what about this Uggla guy? At the knees, down goes Barden. 10-0, Marlins on time. Oh, no. two of our top crew members. They try for the chest bump, but they don't quite get there. See, watch. Oh! Look at LaDuca couldn't even. Josh Johnson, a fastball, and it's popped up back into the seats.
All right, here's another thing to think about. You've got JJ working on a shutout. He has never thrown a shutout in his career. But he's at 88 pitches right now, and you have a very substantial lead.
Out in front, so I think a lot of it may depend on this inning, Tom. If it's a quick inning, if he gets 8, 9, 10 pitches.
If he has an inning, I don't know if he will. He had 7 pitches last inning, and that certainly helped.
That ball's well hit, left center field. Maben's not going to get to it. Into the triangle it goes. Nick Hundley races to second, and he'll stop there.
And you know what? Sometimes things take care of themselves anyway. Well hit ball, hardest hit ball for the Padres tonight.
Tony Gwynn comes up now. As well, when you measure a pitch count, don't you also measure the effort you have to put out by inning? If you don't have any innings that you really have to get up in the 20 to 25 pitch range and really hump it up to get out of the inning?
Yeah, he's had 4 3 up, 3 down innings. Really hasn't had to work. Only one other time with a man in scoring position. But you're also talking about a start here in the month of April. And it's good to see JJ take this game into the 8th inning. Realize last year, 17 of his first 24 starts, Josh Johnson went into the 7th inning or more, and he was 12-2. Now he backed off a little bit. Only one time his final 8 starts did he go into the 7th inning. So it's good to see this kind of outing because these are the kind you see consistently, usually from him.
Ground ball. Gabby flips to JJ. I think, Tommy, too, we're probably guilty of this, and maybe a lot of others, underestimating the fact that JJ's spring had a little bit of an interruption when he got the virus and missed 2 or 3 days, kind of threw him off his routine.
He was actually 1 start behind the other starters.
Had a little blister issue in the spring as well. And when you ramp up a starter to go from spring training to the Major League season, any hitch in the routine can throw a guy off. Not making excuses, but as you pointed out, he just hasn't been the same. And this guy doesn't even look the same. This is Matt Stairs, who has lost a ton of weight.
The svelte 42-year-old Matt Stairs with 19 career pinch hit home runs. He's 1 pinch hit home run off the all-time leader in Cliff Johnson.
He hit 5 pinch hit home runs last year as a Philly. He's one of our favorite guys in the game. He has been there. He's been in the game, it seems like, forever.
Well, he's done it all. I mean, he's had big years. He had some big years when he was with Oakland.
38 homers, 102 RBIs in 99. And he wasn't drafted. He was a member of the Canadian national team, and the Expos kind of gave him a cursory contract, and he got to the big leagues. And he's been in the big leagues ever since. This is his 12th major league team, and that ties a major league record.
Have pinch hit bat will travel.
And he never gets cheated. Fly ball left field. Coughlin is back there, and he makes the catch. And tagging is Hundley, and he's going to score.
And I think that helps a little bit any decision Freddie Gonzalez might have. And I'm still saying he could send JJ out there for a 9th inning, but now there's no shutout involved, just a complete game.
Everett Cabrera comes up. And sadly, that also ends the 10-run cushion. Now it's 9.
The whole key tonight for Josh, and it started in the first inning when he went right after Cabrera, Eckstein, Adrian Gonzalez had a 1-2-3 inning, is that's what he worked on in between starts, just attacking with that good hard stuff.
Cabrera fouls it at the plate.
And an occasional changeup and some nasty sliders.
Rookie year last year, he made 23 errors out at shortstop, but that's not unusual for a rookie shortstop to have errors up in the 20s. Ask Hanley Ramirez. You look back at a lot of young shortstops. Their first couple of years in the big leagues can be pretty rugged defensively. Got him. Everett Cabrera goes down again. 11 punch outs. One more look at the 10-run reel. Run, you sausage, run! Running. Click jmlexus.com to find out how. Dan Uggla tonight has a single, an RBI single, and a 2-run homer.
And he gets an opportunity, obviously, to get some work to face Heath Bell, the Padres closer, who amassed a terrific season last year. 42 saves for Heath Bell, hard fastballs and sliders.
Heath Bell was the apprentice under Trevor Hoffman. And the Padres were not disappointed, as you pointed out. An all-star season last year. This works both ways. It's good for the Padres to get Bell some work. It's also good for the Marlins to get a look at Bell, because tomorrow night or Wednesday afternoon they could come up in a situation with the game on the line and they may have already seen him.
I like that thinking. Right now, this is JJ's game because the Marlins bullpen is quiet.
Well, it's a short turnaround between games 2 and 3. Tomorrow night, which is not on television.
Anibal Sanchez and veteran John Garland.
Noon start on Wednesday, back on television.
And on Wednesday, it's Nate Robertson and Kevin Correa.
And we'll start things on Wednesday at 11:30 in the morning on Weather Day. gets rung up on a fastball. There was a roster move made before the ball game. Dan Meyer, apparently something wrong with his left calf. And Brian Sanchez activated from the 15-day disabled list. So Meyer is out for 15 days. And it's nice to have Brian Sanchez back in the bullpen.
Well, Brian Sanchez had some rehab outings in Jupiter and threw well. Came through everything healthy.
Change up from Bell. There's Brian.
And his injury was not arm related. He injured a hamstring warming up in one of the exhibition games.
In Jacksonville. One ball, one strike. Bake has a base hit and has walked twice. One and two.
These are the outings that many times over the years closers have had trouble with because they gear themselves up so much for adrenaline and coming in a close game that this is so different for them. But right now, Bell's handling it pretty well.
Yeah, he doesn't need an entrance song or any of that flourish to come in. Just the fastball on the outside black. To get behind the scenes and get some Marlins information, you can follow us all season at FS Marlins on Twitter. Sign up to follow us today at twitter.com/FS Marlins. The truck apparently sending out a 10-run reel tweet to alert everybody. But that's come and gone. It's a 9-run game now, and BC is up.
And we stick to the rules.
Yeah, there are ground rules for that, without a doubt. BC's first at bat. Had a big game over the weekend in Colorado, a homer and a double.
They get a couple of starts in that series against the Rockies.
Just a good at bat for Carroll because he's getting the starts against lefties. Occasionally he'll see a righty, but he rarely will see a righty of the quality of Heath Bell.
Yeah, you get late in a game and you bring in the closer like Bell, generally you're not going to have Brett Carroll up there. So, yeah, a good chance for him to give him a good battle.
A career-high 11 strikeouts. And he will go back out in the ninth. Trevor Hoffman, of course, now the closer in Milwaukee. It hasn't been the easiest of starts for him this season. Though the Brewers are beating Pittsburgh 7-2 tonight in the fourth. Nice job by Carroll to lay off the breaking ball. Cubs and Nationals are 3-3 in the sixth. Nationals are a pretty good ball club. Talked to a lot of the Rockies people about the Nationals who are in here this weekend, and they were impressed. Those two teams split a 4-game series.
Much improved team over last year.
Pudge Rodriguez coming to play this weekend. That would be strike 3. And Josh Johnson will come out in the ninth, looking for a complete game, looking for win number 2. 4th career complete game. He gets David Eckstein to open up the 9th. Eckstein has one of the 3 hits against Johnson. You see the pitch total by inning. And quickly he's out in front of Eckstein, 0-2.
Yeah, JJ's last complete game was up in Toronto last June 14th. His best is low hit complete game, never a shutout. His low hit complete game, a 4-hitter. He's got a chance to best that tonight. The Padres with just 3.
Eckstein fights off another one. In the Marlins bullpen, Brian Sanchez is up. Whether he's loosening up to come in or loosening up just to get some work in, it may be a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think you have to get him loose, because if things go haywire quickly, you don't want Josh out there throwing a lot of pitches.
Barden to his left, cuts it off, flings it across, and there's out number 1.
Boy, there's good hands. We saw that all spring from Brian Barden. Wherever you put him, routine play, tough play, he made the pick, made a strong throw.
Oscar Salazar, who came in for Adrian Gonzalez in the 6th inning.
Boy, this has just been terrific to watch. Vintage Josh Johnson tonight.
If the Marlins get the Josh Johnson they expect and the Ricky Nolasco they've been getting, they will have quite a 1-2 punch. I know in the National League West they talk an awful lot about the San Francisco Giants rotation, and they should. That rotation is good. At the top, it's great with Tim Lincecum and very deep. And the Marlins are hopeful that a 3rd and 4th starter can emerge from their staff, be it Anibal Sanchez or Chris Volstad or Nate Robertson. The Giants, who are here at the end of this homestand, will throw Tim Lincecum at you, Matt Cain at you, Jonathan Sanchez, Barry Zito. Diving stop by Barden on his feet. Oh, yeah!
What did we tell you? Be it a routine play or an above average play. Great effort. Gets a little tap from Hanley. This ball is stung by Salazar and playing him off the line, not expecting him to pull Josh Johnson. Barden up with it, and look at the strike throw over to first base.
Barden grew up in San Diego and then went to school at Oregon State. It has to be fun to do that to the hometown Padres.
Look for that tonight on some of the gems.
Oh, 1 to Chase Headley. And it's 0-2. And Josh Johnson, 116 pitches in.
And I think it's been an easy 116.
11 strikeouts, just 3 hits. Got him! A dozen. Josh Johnson gets a hug from John Baker. 4th career complete game. Chase Headley and Bud Black try to get a piece of Chris Guccione. And the Marlins win the opener of this series. They beat the Padres decisively tonight here in South Florida.
And Rich, a career high 12 strikeouts for Josh Johnson with that effort.
Marlins win it. 10-1 the final. Coming right back.